In a world where chaos reigns and hope seems lost, one unlikely hero stumbles upon a mysterious, tiny alien star with the power to transform everything, turning a mold-ridden nightmare into a shining sanctuary. But as the dirt and despair are swept away, a deeper battle begins, one that challenges not just the space around him, but his very will to change. Will this tiny alien star be enough to ignite a new beginning, or will the shadows of the past pull him back into the darkness? Stay tuned, because what happens next might just rewrite his destiny forever. Kyle Rivers groaned and squinted at his phone, the screen flickering through a fog of exhaustion and regret. His head felt like Satan's interior decorator had personally designed a new kind of torture, one that involved pounding umps, endless static, and a neon sign flashing, "You're a complete failure." The clock glowed cheerfully in the corner 45 past 11, a cruel reminder that he'd wasted more than half the day sleeping off his hangover. Somewhere inside his trailer, Sergeant Terror, the cat, was going full percussion, knocking cans, batting bottles, creating a symphony of chaos that would make a street musician weep with envy or despair, depending on your perspective. Kyle rolled off the couch, immediately regretting the move. His entire body protested, and a wave of nausea hit him like a truck. His living space was a disaster zone. Pizza boxes stacked precariously like a modern art installation, laundry piled in layers, conspiracy printouts about cattle mutilations, and a collection of empty beer cans that could have been mistaken for a small sculpture exhibit. He blinked blearily at his phone again, the notifications piling up like a digital avalanche. Expecting more debt collectors, spam, or his mother's usual "why haven't you called" message, he swiped at the screen with a sigh. Instead, he froze, eyes widening as he read a message that looked like it belonged in a sci-fi comedy. "Congratulations. Your application for extraterrestrial domestic assistance has been approved. Your assigned worker will arrive within 24 Earth hours. Please ensure your living space meets minimum galactic sanitation standards. Failure to comply may result in immediate termination of services and interdimensional incident reports." Kyle stared at the screen. His mouth went wide. The message boasted an official seal, featuring a cartoon alien holding a mop, which somehow made it even more absurd. He blinked again, half expecting a glitch, a prank, or a viral marketing stunt. No such luck. His mind scrambled, trying to make sense of it. He scrolled through his sent messages. Nothing. His browser history confirmed what he suspected. The night before, he'd been deep diving into UFO conspiracy forums, videos about government cover-ups, and that embarrassing 3-hour YouTube binge on whether Bigfoot was an alien tourist. The truth was obvious. Last night, he must have clicked a link while Unk signed himself up for some kind of cosmic cleaning service. Probably a Nigerian prince scam, or worse, an intergalactic one. "Great," Kyle muttered, rubbing his temples. "I'm officially on some alien payroll for cleaning the universe's mess." Sergeant Terror, the feline ninja, materialized on the kitchen counter with a silent, judgmental stare. The cat's eyes seemed to say, "Really? You're this clueless?" Kyle looked around at his trailer, a monument to bad choices. Pizza boxes teetered in gravity-defying towers. Laundry layers formed geological strata. Conspiracy printouts covered every wall. Chaos was his comfort zone, the place where nobody judged him, least of all himself. It was a mess, but it was his mess. His phone buzzed again, this time a text from Mrs. Henderson, his neighbor, in all caps, as if she'd discovered something truly shocking. "Kyle, something is glowing on your lawn. Is this another one of your projects?" Kyle shuffled over to the window, pushing aside a curtain that looked like a failed abstract painting titled "Existential Despair" in beige. Sure enough, in the yard, there sat a sleek, silver suitcase, pulsing with a soft, hypnotic blue glow like a rave for luggage. It was oddly aerodynamic, more like a piece of alien art than something Kyle had ever owned. He squinted, trying not to let his imagination run wild. "All right," he said to Sergeant Terror, who had jumped onto the window frame, tail flicking with feline skepticism. "That's new." Kyle grabbed a hoodie from the floor, the only clean thing he could find, and stepped outside, feeling the morning air settle over him, faintly smelling of Mrs. Henderson's roses and the ever-present chemical tang of the trailer park's broken sewage system. The suitcase's symbols looked like someone had let a mathematician have a nervous breakdown in hieroglyphics. The pulsing rhythm resembled a heartbeat, or perhaps a very expensive piece of modern art. "Please don't be a bomb," Kyle muttered, voice trembling. "I'm not ready to explain this to the ATF." As if in reply, the suitcase began to unfold, like origami crafted by someone who understood dimensions Kyle couldn't even pronounce. Panels slid, twisted, and reconfigured, revealing an interior that defied all logic. Bigger on the inside, like a TARDIS designed by a particularly artistic architect with a penchant for chaos. A burst of light exploded from the opening, blinding him. Kyle threw up his hands instinctively, shielding his eyes. When the glow faded, standing before him was a tiny, purple woman, dressed in a strange little hazmat suit crossed with a flight attendant uniform. She was perhaps 3 feet tall, with skin the color of a ripe eggplant, and eyes that dominated her face. Huge, expressive, and almost human in their intensity. Her hair was silver white, pulled back into a tight, military-style knot, and she held a clipboard made of what looked like shimmering star stuff. "I'm Zeratix of the 12 Shadows," she announced, voice melodious but utterly businesslike. "Senior Sanitation Specialist, Stardust and Sanitation Incorporated. I have been assigned to your domicile for comprehensive spatial optimization and biological hazard containment." Kyle gawked, blinking in disbelief. "Did you just say biological hazard containment?" She paused, her enormous eyes fixed on him. "Standard protocols require a preliminary assessment of contamination levels before beginning optimization procedures." He rubbed his eyes. "Wait, you're here to clean my trailer?" "Yes," she replied unfazed. "Your living space meets the challenge level of challenging, Kyle." He stared. "Challenging?" She nodded solemnly. "Your microwave contains a new form of carbon-based life. Your laundry has an ecosystem, and traces of pizza organisms are actively evolving." Kyle looked around again, now seeing his chaos with new eyes. "Maybe I'm a transitional phase," he admitted, voice flat. Zurli, she preferred that name, consulted her clipboard again, her expression serious as she said, "Your kitchen table has achieved primitive intelligence and is writing poetry. Bad poetry." He blinked. "The table is moving. Primarily migration," she corrected. He sighed. "Great. How long do you need to fix all this?" "Approximately 1 week, assuming no additional contamination or closet rebellions," she said, then hesitated. "And something is living in your closet, wearing your high school jacket, collecting bottle caps." Kyle's stomach sank. "All right," he said, voice resigned. 1 week, but I want daily updates, and a warning if my socks are about to qualify for citizenship." She extended a tiny hand. "Agreed." He hesitated, then shook it. Her small smile was surprisingly warm. "I promise you won't regret this," she said softly, eyes gleaming with something Kyle couldn't quite place. Determination, perhaps, or just a strange kind of hope. And in that moment, Kyle realized his chaotic life had just taken a very strange, very unexpected turn, and he was somehow okay with it. The next morning, Kyle awoke to an odd symphony of sounds, clanking, humming, and a faint whir of machinery that shouldn't have been there. His eyes fluttered open, and he blinked blearily at the ceiling, trying to piece together what little he remembered from the night before. Mostly the last thing he saw before passing out, which is a YouTube video titled "How to Communicate with Alien Janitors," or something equally ridiculous. As he sat up, a metallic ping echoed from the kitchen, followed by a rhythmic thumping that sounded like a robot doing aerobics. He rubbed his face, groaning. "Great," he muttered. "I've officially lost it." His first thought was to check his phone, expecting maybe another spam message or, at worst, a reminder that he was behind on his rent. Instead, the screen blinked with a new notification, bright, official, and utterly bizarre. Congratulations! Your application for extraterrestrial domestic assistance has been approved. Your assigned worker will arrive within 24 Earth hours. Please ensure your living space meets minimum galactic sanitation standards. Failure to comply may result in immediate termination of services and interdimensional incident reports. Kyle stared at the message, his brain trying to process what he was reading. Did I just get approved for an alien cleaning service? He whispered, voice hoarse and skeptical. The words felt like a joke, but the official seal and the cartoon alien holding a mop made it all too real. His mind spun. Was this some elaborate prank? A scam? Or had he somehow signed up for a cosmic cleaning crew while Ankh? He swiped again, scrolling through his recent activity. Nothing out of the ordinary, just his usual late-night internet rabbit hole of alien conspiracy forums and videos about government cover-ups. He remembered clicking something last night, a link that promised exclusive deals on interdimensional janitorial services. It must have been a joke, until now. His stomach sank. Oh, fantastic, he muttered, voice dripping with sarcasm. So, I'm officially on some kind of galactic payroll for cleaning the universe's messes. Great. He looked toward Sergeant Terror, who had jumped onto the counter, tail flicking with feline impatience. The cat's eyes, sharp and inscrutable, seemed to say, really? You're this clueless? Kyle looked around his trailer, a chaotic mess that had become his sanctuary of bad decisions. Pizza boxes sprawled like ancient ruins, laundry formed geological layers, and conspiracy printouts covered every wall like a modern art exhibit gone wrong. Chaos was his comfort zone, and he wasn't about to give it up easily. His phone buzzed again, this time a text from Mrs. Henderson, his nosy neighbor, in all caps. Kyle, there is something glowing on your lawn. Is this another one of your projects? Kyle shuffled over to the window, pushing aside a curtain that looked like a failed abstract painting called Existential Despair in Beige. Sure enough, out in the yard sat a sleek, silver suitcase, pulsing with a soft, hypnotic blue glow. It looked more like a piece of alien art than something human would own. It was aerodynamic, oddly pristine, like it had just arrived from a futuristic showroom. His pulse quickened as he stared at it, trying to keep his anxiety in check. Okay, he said aloud, voice shaky. What the hell is that? He looked down at Sergeant Terror, who had now perched on the windowsill, tail flicking with feline skepticism. Probably just a gift, Kyle muttered, sarcasm creeping into his voice. Or maybe a bomb. Or an alien luggage delivery. He hesitated, then slowly moved closer, cautious but curious. As he stepped outside, the suitcase seemed to pulse in rhythm with his heartbeat, as if alive. Symbols etched into its surface looked like hieroglyphics after a nervous breakdown, twisting and writhing in the sunlight. The air felt charged, electric even, and he couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was about to happen could change everything. Please don't blow up, he muttered, half joking, half pleading. I'm not ready for the government's alien cleanup team to show up and take me away. As if in response, the suitcase suddenly unfolded, panels sliding apart with a hiss and a shimmer of otherworldly light. It was like watching origami from a dimension he couldn't even pronounce. Within seconds, what was a small, unassuming piece of luggage revealed a vast interior, glowing with an unnatural light that seemed to bend reality. A figure emerged, small but commanding. She was about 3 feet tall, with skin the color of a ripe eggplant, and eyes so large they seemed to swallow her face. Her hair, silver and sharply pulled back, shimmered in the sunlight, and she held a clipboard made of shimmering star stuff. I am Zeratix of the 12 Shadows, she announced with a melodic but businesslike tone, her voice echoing oddly in the quiet morning air. Senior Sanitation Specialist, Stardust and Sanitation Incorporated. I have been assigned to your domicile for comprehensive spatial optimization and biological hazard containment. Kyle blinked, stunned. Wait, what? Did you just say biological hazard containment? She paused, her enormous eyes fixed on him. Standard protocols require a preliminary assessment of contamination levels before beginning optimization procedures. He rubbed his face, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. You're here to clean my trailer? Yes, she said simply. Your living space meets the challenge level of challenging, Kyle. He stared, blinking like he just stepped into some bizarre sci-fi comedy. Challenging? You mean like a disaster zone? Precisely. She nodded solemnly. Your microwave contains a new form of carbon-based life. Your laundry has an ecosystem, and traces of pizza organisms are actively evolving. Kyle's eyes widened further, and he looked around at his chaos. Yeah, I think I've entered a whole new level of challenging. He took a deep breath, trying to keep his nerves in check. So, how long do you think this will take? Approximately 1 week, she replied, consulting her star-stuffed clipboard. Assuming no additional contamination or closet rebellions. He looked at her, half in disbelief, half in resignation. 1 week, huh? Well, I'll be here, waiting for my life to be cleaned up by a tiny alien sanitation expert. She extended her tiny hand, offering what Kyle could only interpret as a professional handshake. Agreed. I promise you won't regret this decision, she said softly, her big eyes shining with a curious mix of determination and something softer, almost hope. Kyle hesitated for a second, then shook her hand, feeling a strange sense of acceptance settle over him. Maybe this was the beginning of something even crazier than his usual chaos. Maybe, just maybe, he wasn't entirely alone in this universe. Kyle watched as Zeratix surveyed his chaos-ridden trailer with a mixture of professional curiosity and faint amusement. Her tiny form darted around, inspecting everything with an almost childlike intensity, clipboard in hand, stars shimmering at her fingertips. Kyle, meanwhile, stood awkwardly, arms crossed, trying to process the surreal scene unfolding before him. So, he finally managed, voice tinged with disbelief. You're telling me you're here to clean up? What exactly? The pizza, the laundry, everything. She paused, glancing up at him with enormous, expressive eyes. Your living environment contains a significant biological diversity. It's, how do you say, a biological hotspot, she explained, voice smooth and melodious. There are multiple ecosystems coexisting within your space, some of which are quite aggressive. Kyle snorted. Yeah, well, tell that to my microwave. It's been hosting some kind of science experiment that I didn't sign up for. Last week, I swear I saw something crawl out of it. Looked like a tiny, angry alien caterpillar. Zeratix tilted her head with a slight hum, then scribbled something on her starry clipboard. That is consistent with contamination levels I have detected. Your microwave is a biohazard zone, and you may want to consider replacing it, or at least sterilizing it thoroughly. He nodded, still trying to keep his composure. Great. So, I got a microscopic jungle in there, a petri dish in the kitchen, and a cat that probably thinks the whole place is a playground of chaos. Sergeant Terror, who had been watching from his perch on the counter, let out a loud meow, as if to agree. Your feline companion appears to be an active participant in your biological ecosystem, Zeratix observed matter-of-factly. He may be contributing to the biodiversity. Kyle shot the cat a side-eye. Thank for that, Zeratix. That's just what I needed to hear. I always suspected Terror was more of a biohazard than a pet. The alien's tiny face broke into a small, almost approving smile. Your humor is quite charming. But I am here to restore order, or, at least, to make your environment less hazardous. She fluttered her starry clipboard. There is also a significant accumulation of dust and debris, and I detected a faint smell of despair. Kyle grimaced. Yeah, that's about right. You're not wrong. I've been meaning to clean this place, but every time I start, I get overwhelmed and end up binge-watching conspiracy videos instead. Zoradix nodded slowly, as if she understood all too well. Humans often delay necessary cleaning because they fear the task or feel they lack the tools. But I have the tools and the expertise to handle this efficiently. She twirled a small star in her hand, which shimmered like a miniature galaxy. Plus, I'm equipped to deal with biohazards, organic growths, and, if necessary, psychological contamination. Kyle blinked. Psychological contamination? You mean like me? She gave a tiny, knowing smile. Perhaps, but don't worry. I can help clean more than just your space. I can help clear your mind, too. He chuckled, feeling a strange sense of relief. Well, I guess if I have to live in a biohazard zone, I might as well get some help. But I've got one question. How do I even begin to explain all this to my neighbors? Mrs. Henderson already thinks I'm into weird science projects. Zoradix floated closer, eyes gleaming with a mysterious light. We will handle the explanations. Your neighbors will simply see a cleaner, safer environment, and perhaps a less chaotic Kyle. Kyle shook his head, a grin creeping onto his face. You know what? I think I'm in good hands. Or at least, in hands that are out of this world. He looked at her tiny, shimmering figure with a mixture of awe and amusement, realizing that life was about to get a lot stranger and a lot cleaner. Kyle watched as Zoradix flitted around his trailer, her tiny form moving with purpose and precision, stars flickering at her fingertips. He couldn't help but feel a strange mix of awe and nervousness. So, he said, voice uncertain, "You're telling me that you're about to turn this disaster zone into some kind of intergalactic showcase?" She paused, inspecting a pile of laundry that looked like it had been there since the dawn of time. Yes, Kyle. My primary objective is to reduce biological hazards and restore a semblance of order, Zoradix replied, voice smooth but firm. This environment is dangerously chaotic. It is in effect a living, breathing ecosystem of your neglect. Kyle chuckled nervously. Yeah, I guess you could call it that. I've always thought of my place as a biodiverse habitat, but maybe I was being too generous. He gestured around at the mess. Honestly, I don't even know where to start. It's like a science experiment gone wrong, and I'm the unwitting lab rat. She fluttered her starry clipboard with a tiny smile. Your approach is commendable, but I will handle the heavy lifting. I am equipped with advanced sanitation protocols and biological containment measures. We will transform this habitat into a safe, livable space. Zoradix moved swiftly, inspecting the kitchen. Her tiny hands glided over a mountain of discarded pizza boxes, moldy takeout containers, and a fridge door that looked like it was holding its own microbial universe. You know, Kyle said, rubbing the back of his neck, I've been meaning to clean this place up for ages. But every time I try, I get overwhelmed, and then I just end up watching conspiracy videos instead, like for hours. I swear, my brain is turning into a conspiracy theory factory. Zoradix paused, her huge eyes flickering thoughtfully. Humans often delay cleaning because they fear the scope of the task or doubt their abilities. But I am here to assist. I have tools that can process organic waste, eradicate biohazards, and even neutralize psychological contamination. Kyle raised an eyebrow. Psychological contamination? You mean like me? She tilted her head, a tiny smile playing on her lips. Perhaps, but I am here to help you overcome those mental barriers. A clean environment can foster clarity and mental well-being. Her voice was soothing, almost reassuring. He looked around at the chaos again, then back at her, feeling a strange flicker of hope. Honestly, Zoradix, I didn't think my life could get any more chaotic, but here we are. You're about to give my trailer a whole new identity, one that's less biohazard and more livable. She floated closer, her starry eyes shining brightly. That is the goal. I will begin with the most contaminated zones. You may be surprised how quickly order can be restored when proper protocols are applied. Kyle grinned, a mixture of nervousness and curiosity swirling inside him. All right then, let's do this. Just don't judge me too harshly if I start crying when I see the clean space, okay? Zeratix emitted a gentle glow. No mint, only progress, and perhaps a little celebration afterward. He let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding and nodded. Deal. But first I need coffee. Lots of it. This is going to be a long day. As Zeratix began her work, zipping around with tiny, star-studded tools, Kyle couldn't help but feel a strange sense of anticipation. Maybe this was the start of something new, something better, or at least something a little less disgusting. And deep down, he knew that with Zeratix's help, he just might survive his own chaos after all. Kyle watched in disbelief as Zeratix zipped around his cluttered trailer, her tiny starry form darting from corner to corner with astonishing speed. His arms were crossed, and he kept glancing at the pile of laundry, the rotting pizza boxes, and the mysterious moldy blobs growing in the fridge. Okay, he said, voice tinged with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. So you're telling me that in a matter of hours, you're going to turn this disaster zone into a sparkling paradise? Zeratix paused, hovering near a mountain of discarded takeout containers, her bright eyes shimmering. That is correct, Kyle. My advanced protocols are designed to optimize sanitation, eliminate hazards, and restore a semblance of order. Your environment currently poses health risks that cannot be ignored. Kyle scoffed. Yeah, I get it. But I've seen cleaning crews before. They come in, spray a little disinfectant, maybe wipe a few surfaces, and then leave. You're saying you could do better? She floated closer, her voice gentle but confident. Much better. I will remove organic waste, neutralize biohazards, and eradicate microbial growth. The process is rapid, efficient, and thorough. You will not recognize this place afterward. Zeratix twirled her tiny star in her hand, which flickered like a miniature galaxy. Plus, I will handle the unpleasant odors. Your aromatic environment will be transformed into a fresh, clean space. Kyle chuckled, rubbing his chin. That's easy for you to say. You're tiny. You can zip around, do all the dirty work. But me? I'm stuck with the aftermath. Like, I swear I've got a mold colony in the bathroom that's probably got its own zip code. She tilted her head, eyes twinkling. Your humor is quite charming, but I have the tools and expertise to handle even the most stubborn contamination. You only need to relax and trust in the process. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Trust is a funny thing, especially when you're dealing with a biohazard zone run by an alien star being. But honestly, Zeratix, I'm tired of feeling embarrassed about this mess. I want to believe this can actually work. Zeratix nodded, her expression softening. It will. I am confident. The first step is to identify the most contaminated areas, those that pose the greatest threat, and treat them with my specialized sterilization agents. Once those zones are safe, the rest will follow more easily. Kyle hesitated for a moment, then looked around at the chaos. All right then, let's get to work. Just don't laugh too much if I start crying when I see the difference. Clean spaces tend to do that to me. She emitted a tiny, reassuring glow. No judgment, only progress, and perhaps a celebration afterward. He cracked a smile, feeling a flicker of hope ignite inside him. Deal. But I warn you, if you turn my trailer into a showroom, I might never find my snacks again. Zeratix giggled, a sound like chimes in the breeze. Your snacks are safe for now, but I will prioritize the most hazardous zones first. Prepare yourself for the transformation. Kyle took a deep breath, feeling a strange mix of anticipation and trepidation. He watched her zip around with laser focus, tiny starry tools in hand, and realized that maybe, just maybe, this bizarre situation was exactly what he needed. To finally take control, to clean up the chaos, not just in his trailer, but in his life. As Zeratix worked tirelessly, he couldn't help but wonder what the aftermath would look like. Would he recognize his space? Would he recognize himself? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. With Zeratix on his side, the long, messy road to redemption was about to begin. Kyle stood at the doorway of his now strangely quiet trailer, watching Zeratix hover in the middle of the room, her tiny form glowing softly. The space around her shimmered with a faint, almost magical light. Clean, fresh, and utterly transformed from the chaos it was just hours before. He rubbed his eyes, still trying to process the rapid metamorphosis. "Okay," he finally said, voice thick with disbelief. "I think I've officially entered a different universe. Did I miss the part where you waved a magic wand? Or did you actually do all this?" Zeratix turned her tiny head, a hint of pride flickering in her starry eyes. "This is not magic, Kyle. It is highly advanced sterilization technology combined with my meticulous protocols. Your environment is now safer, healthier, and more livable." She floated closer, inspecting a corner that once held an avalanche of trash. Notice the absence of biohazardous matter and foul odors. The space is now suitable for human habitation again. Kyle stepped inside, his jaw opening as he took in the pristine surfaces, the spotless floor, and the sparkling counters. "I swear, I half expect to find a tiny cleaning crew hiding in the corners, waiting to pop out and do a victory dance," he quipped, cracking a smile despite himself. "You really turned this place around faster than I ever imagined possible." Zeratix twirled her starry clipboard with a delicate flick. "Efficiency is my specialty. The most contaminated zones were prioritized, and I utilized targeted sterilization agents to eliminate bacteria, mold, and other hazardous microorganisms. The process is thorough. Your space is now a safe zone." She paused, her voice softening. "And, I believe, a more pleasant environment for you as well." Kyle chuckled, crossing his arms. "You know, I was beginning to think I'd be living in this mess forever. I'd resign myself to it, like some kind of microbial paradise. But now I actually feel motivated to keep this level of cleanliness going. Maybe I'll set a reminder on my phone. Keep it clean, Kyle." Zeratix tilted her head, her tiny face bright with a playful sparkle. "That is an excellent idea. Maintaining hygiene is essential for long-term health and mental clarity. I can assist you with periodic checks and reminders if needed." He looked around again, a mixture of admiration and curiosity. "You've done more than I thought possible. Honestly, Zeratix, I don't even know how to thank you. This place looks, well, almost livable now. Before, I'd be embarrassed if anyone saw this mess. Now, I might be tempted to invite someone over for once." Her tiny eyes twinkled. "It is my pleasure to assist. Transforming spaces is part of my purpose. But remember, the real challenge will be maintaining this level of order. It is easy to clean once, but consistency is key." Kyle nodded, a newfound confidence bubbling inside him. "Yeah, I get it. I've been lazy about it, but now I see what's possible. I mean, I've got a fresh start, and I want to keep it that way. No more excuses. From now on, I'm going to try, really try, to keep this space as spotless as you made it." Zeratix floated closer again, her starry glow flickering gently. "That is an admirable goal. I will be here to support you whenever you need guidance. Remember, progress is a journey, not a destination. But for now, enjoy your clean space. You've earned it." Kyle took a deep breath, feeling a surprising sense of satisfaction. For the first time in a long while, he genuinely believed he could maintain this new environment. With Zeratix's help, he was ready to embrace the challenge. As he looked around at the pristine room, he realized that this was more than just a clean trailer. It was a symbol of a fresh start, a new chapter. And deep inside, he knew that with her by his side, he could keep the chaos at bay. The road ahead might still have its twists, but for now, he felt ready to face whatever came next. Kyle sat on his battered old couch, staring at the now pristine trailer with a mixture of disbelief and cautious hope. Zeratix floated nearby, her tiny starry form casting a gentle glow that filled the room with a calming ambience. They had come a long way from chaos and mold to this, an almost livable sanctuary. Kyle broke the silence, voice tinged with awe. I gotta say, Zeratix, I never thought I'd see my place like this. Honestly, I thought it was a lost cause. You've done what I didn't think possible. Zeratix hovered closer, her tiny face glowing with a warm, almost proud expression. It was my pleasure, Kyle. Transforming environments is in my programming, but I must admit, I am pleased with the results as well. Your space was quite challenging, yet I am confident it will be easier to maintain now. She twirled her starry clipboard, her voice carrying a note of reassurance. The key is consistency, as I mentioned before. Keeping your environment safe and clean is an ongoing process. Kyle chuckled, leaning back with a weary smile. Yeah, I get that now. Before, I didn't realize how much effort it takes to keep things under control. I was just so overwhelmed, thought I'd never catch up. But seeing this, I actually feel motivated. Like, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can keep my place from turning into a biohazard again. His eyes flicked to Zeratix with genuine gratitude. You really turned everything around in just a few hours. That's some serious alien tech right there. Zeratix giggled, a sound like tinkling bells. My technology is designed for efficiency and precision. But you, Kyle, have the potential to maintain this progress. All you need is a little discipline and regular routines. She paused, her tiny eyes twinkling mischievously. And perhaps a reminder or two from me, if you wish. He shook his head, a grin breaking through his exhaustion. You know what, Zeratix? I think I might actually need that. If you're up for it, maybe we can set up some kind of schedule, weekly check-ins, gentle nudges. I need all the help I can get to stay on top of this. His voice softened, a touch of vulnerability creeping in. Honestly, I don't want to go back to that mess. I want to keep this new space clean, safe, and, well, somewhat presentable. Zeratix nodded eagerly, her tiny star flickering with enthusiasm. That is an excellent plan. I will assist you with reminders and tips. Remember, Kyle, this is not just about cleanliness. It's about reclaiming control over your environment and, in turn, your life. Her tone grew gentle, almost nurturing. You are capable of more than you think. The first step is believing in yourself, trusting that you can maintain what has been achieved. Kyle looked around once more, feeling an unexpected spark of confidence ignite inside him. You're right. I've been so stuck in the chaos, I forgot I had the power to change things. Maybe I was just too overwhelmed to see it before. But now, seeing this clean, safe space, hell, I want to keep it this way. Not just for me, but for anyone who ever comes over. I don't want to be that guy with a moldy trailer anymore. Zeratix floated closer, her tiny form radiating a reassuring warmth. That is the spirit, Kyle. Remember, progress is a journey. There will be setbacks, but with my help and your determination, I believe you will succeed. And I will be here, guiding you every step of the way. He reached out and gently touched her tiny star, feeling a strange comfort from its gentle glow. Thanks, Zeratix. I think I've got a new outlook and maybe even a new chance at life here. Who knew an alien star could be my biggest ally? I guess sometimes you just need a little help from the universe, or a tiny starry alien, to turn things around. She giggled again, her voice full of joy. Indeed, Kyle. Remember, the universe is full of surprises, and sometimes they come in the tiniest, most unexpected forms. With that, Zeratix twirled her star, leaving a trail of shimmering light as she prepared to help him stay on track. Kyle watched her go, feeling lighter than he had in years. For the first time in a long while, he felt hope, not just for his space, but for himself. And that, he realized, was the real transformation.